Hello and welcome to another episode of Starside Chat. I'm one of your hosts, Zach, and joining me as always is Aaron Kaplan.
Hello!
And this week we're talking about the Concord Beta, but also a little bit of news and a little bit of just kind of looking ahead at second half of the year for game releases, since we're crazy to say it, but already we've crossed the line and we're now into the second half of the year.
It's true.
Seems like this year's going by.
The days are going to start getting shorter.
Going super fast. It's crazy. But do you want to talk about some Pal World news?
Yeah, I threw this in the show notes, and I don't know what this means, but Pal World, the developers of Pal World have signed a deal with Sony to form a Pal World Entertainment, and they're going to expand the IP, whatever that means. So maybe a movie or a show, or maybe just a comic book. Who knows? But some additional Pal World is coming.
Yeah, so we were joking a little bit before we started recording about this, because this is, if it is like they go to Sony and they're like, hey, let's produce a TV show, is this sort of their version of Pokemon? Because obviously Pokemon is a TV show, and then it's also a game series, so they'll release like a new game, and then the next like series of the show will come out and it'll be like tied to that new game, basically.
That would be crazy if they went full, we're going to copy this, and they make like an anime about it. I guess I could see them doing that. Maybe that's the path forward, although animation takes so much more time than just a live action. But
they'll
I don't know.
have an Ash
it seems like Pal World has kind of dropped off. Yeah, he'll be called Cinder or something, or Ember.
Yeah.
But I don't know about that. I mean, I think the most likely thing is maybe a TV show that is not animated. But if they could pull off an animated show, and even if it looks terrible, that's interesting. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I would watch it, but I'm with you. I think it seems like the hype train for Pal World has died down to a degree that I don't know if a TV show would, I don't know, revitalize it in some way, but I don't know. I guess if you can, go for it.
Something else I threw in the show notes. I just saw a little article about this. I've never heard of this game before, but it looks cute, and I liked the music in the trailer. There's a series of games that have never come out in America. They were Game Boy Advanced games that were Japan only, called Starfy is maybe how you say it, or Starfy. But it's this cute little star that you control. It looks like Kirby, pretty much, like a Kirby Game Boy Advanced game. But I don't know what your powers are as Starfy. I think you're just like a little star that can spin around. But all three of them are coming to Nintendo Switch Online. So if you are subscribed to Nintendo Switch Online, I think you can start playing them immediately. Oh, you have to be subscribed to the premium expansion pack tier. But, yes, Starfy. I had never heard of this. Have you heard of this?
That's interesting. So these are like Game Boy Advance games that just didn't come out in America?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't even think they've translated them to English, actually.
That's interesting. Yeah, I keep wondering...
Densetsu no Starfy 1, 2, and 3.
I keep wondering when they're going to get like GameCube games on Switch Online. That might be like a launch like for Switch 2. Hey, in addition to like all the Nintendo Online stuff just being ported to Switch 2 and like ready to go as soon as you get your Switch 2 and plug it in, we're also going to announce that Game Boy Advance, or not Game Boy Advance, but GameCube games are there as well. That seems like a good like launch day thing.
I have never played, and I've always wanted to. I've never played... what's the cel-shaded Zelda game?
Wind Waker.
When we were on a boat? Yes. I've never played Wind Waker, and I kept imagining they would eventually come out with it on the Nintendo Switch, like an HD remaster or whatever, but they never have. And that's the one. I don't really care about Twilight Princess. I've never played it, and I don't really have an interest in it. But Wind Waker seems really cool to me, and I am bummed I've never gotten to play it. But
yeah,
I don't know if they would do it on like an online thing, or if they would release like an HD copy of it.
Well, to an extent, wonder if maybe the only reason we haven't gotten that and like some sort of remastered version of the first Luigi's Mansion is because they're like, we don't need to do that because we're eventually going to have GameCube games on there.
Yeah,
and maybe that's the way they've go. But they did do Super Mario Sunshine as that like HD 3D Mario All-Stars pack or whatever that was.
True.
But that was like a limited release, so I could still see if they did bring GameCube games to Switch Online, that game could still be on there. But yeah, I don't know.
It's a bummer because you see all those like fan projects where they've like decompiled things and now you can play like Majora's Mask like fully HD 60 frames a second with all these like extra features. And it seems like only a couple people did that and like made that possible. And I don't know why Nintendo won't just like spend the time and money to do that and make it so we can play like super high res versions of these games instead of just doing the least minimum and just like kind of throwing them on online.
Yeah, Sony there for a while had like a studio that was basically dedicated to remastering or remaking games for them. I wonder why Nintendo wouldn't just like, we have this huge back catalog of games that if we just like got a studio or two that we could throw projects at and be like, here, you're going to remake this game or remaster this game in like a very thorough way and re-release it, and that could be just like a nice little money-making machine for them. But I guess not. I guess maybe they're just relying on Nintendo Online. So
the other bit of news to talk about before we get into the Concord beta, because I'm very interested to hear your thoughts about it. There's been some Apex news. I haven't really been playing Apex that much this year, but they did kind of two things back to back that have made people upset. They have made it so you have to pay real money to have the battle pass now. You can't like earn the in-game currency to purchase the battle pass, which people were not happy about. Additionally, they have split the battle pass. So now a season consists of 2 battle passes. You basically have to buy it twice for some reason. Like the first 60 levels are part of the first battle pass, and then the second 60 levels are the second level. This is for season 22 and beyond, they said. So they basically are like, you have to use real money now, and also you have to buy it twice, which people are not into. They've been review bombing it on Steam.
I'm like, how does this work? I mean,
yeah.
Is it like the normal battle pass would be like $20 and they've split it up so it's like if you buy the first half it's $10 and the second half it's another $10? Or is it like...
It's a good question. I haven't looked into the exact specifics of what's been going on, but as far as I can tell, they think that it's an increased value to the player, but everyone else is saying that they're just nickel and diming them and the old way was better.
Because the only way I could see them making an argument that this would be better for the player would be like, if you're like me, who I will get super into it for like a short while and be like, yeah, I'm gonna buy this and play a bunch of it, and then I fall off of it eventually, and so it would be better for me to buy like half of it instead of the whole thing. But yeah, it depends on how it works, whether that's actually a thing or not.
It's weird. Yeah, we were pretty into Apex Legends for a while last year, but for some reason I've kind of fallen off of it this year. I've started playing more single-player things. So I don't know. It's seems like it's good that we're not into it right now.
Yeah, I don't know. It comes in waves for me where I have interest in like online multiplayer stuff. And sometimes I'll get into it and sometimes I'm just not. And that's why it's great to just have a free-to-play game that I don't have to buy a battle pass for. But
yeah, very true.
But yeah, I'll be curious to see, like, I don't know, if this ends up being like something they have to go back on later. But
well, Zach, I really want to talk about the Concord beta because you got access to it. We realized that you didn't need to pre-order the game. So how much of this did you check out?
Well, yeah, so right now it's like the closed beta as we're recording this. It's happening this weekend, and that's for you can pre-order the game to get access to it, or if you just have PlayStation Plus, you have access to it. So you don't have to actually pre-order it to get access to it. And then next weekend, after this podcast goes up, will be the open beta. And I a little bit wonder if like we'll see a little bit more of a spike in like traffic from players, because it seems like, I don't know, like this is maybe not a good barometer, but I always like check Twitch and just like who's playing this, what's going on, and none of that, not pretty much nobody that I follow was playing it, which is usually like an indicator that maybe it's not as popular as I thought it was going to be. But it could also just be because it was closed and you had to pre-order to get access to it. So next week will probably be like the real test. But I was pleasantly surprised by the gameplay of it. It does feel somewhat Destiny-like, and it does feel some of that is because it feels like the hunter jump, where you have like a double jump, and one of the characters actually has a triple jump. And yeah, so it feels a lot like running around like a hunter, and you have like the slide thing where as you're running, if you crouch, you'll sort of slide. So it does sort of feel very Destiny-like in that way. I was a little bit surprised. So the modes they have available is, I think it's like called Brawl, where it's like a rotation of team deathmatch and basically kill confirmed from the Call of Duty games. And then
what is kill confirm?
That's the one where when you take out an enemy, they drop like a crest and you have to run across it and pick it up, and that's how you get points for your team. And so it's like first however many points, but you can deny the other team points by picking up crests from teammates who have died. And so like kills don't necessarily matter so much as you have to kill them, but also pick up the crest in order for it to count towards your point total. So it's basically a rotation of team deathmatch at this point, which surprised me because that's not what I would have thought for like a hero shooter.
Yeah, they made it seem like there's going to be like objectives like Overwatch.
Well, so there are 4 different modes and each of those modes, it seems like there's going to be like a rotation of like 2 different sort of sub modes within them. So like the first one is Brawl, that has like team deathmatch and kill confirmed, and then the next one that you could also play during this beta was called Rivalry, which has a mode called Cargo Run, where it's like plant cargo and then like defend it. And then the other one is called Clash Point, where you're supposed to capture a zone or just eliminate all the enemies. So and there's no respawns for those modes. So it's a little bit those are also basically Call of Duty modes. So it's weird that the game kind of looks like knockoff Guardians of the Galaxy or like off-brand Overwatch, but it's like the gameplay or the game modes are more or less Call of Duty modes, and the gameplay kind of looks and feels a little bit like Destiny. So there's like several different
talk about
ingredients
the gameplay. So like what
that they've thrown in the pot.
What characters did you gravitate towards a certain character?
I tried out a handful of them, and I couldn't tell you their names. So I don't know if that's a sign that they're not really like the characters themselves aren't standing out, but so there is like the first one I tried was basically the Call of Duty character, where he runs around with like an assault rifle and has like grenades and smoke grenades, and then his cool thing is when you do throw a smoke grenade, it's very difficult to see through, or you basically can't. But if you ADS with his weapon, you can actually see enemies outlined in it, so you get an advantage that way. I played a little bit of that character. I was like, yeah, this is like the you have to have one of these in every one of these shooters.
Soldier 76.
Yeah, sort of a Soldier 76 type character. And then another one I played is sort of a healer character. He has basically a light machine gun. A lot of the weapons surprisingly looked like they were from World War II almost. It was strange to me that was the case, but this character and another character I'll talk about, basically their weapons look like they were from World War II, but he has the ability to like throw out sort of a healing orb that will like latch onto a teammate or even yourself if you just kind of throw it down and then run across it, and it gives you like a zone of healing for like a brief amount of time. And so I usually, in like hero shooters, especially Overwatch, I will often play kind of a support or healer character. But I found his weapon to be pretty good, actually, for offense. But then he also has like a damage grenade that he can throw. It's not really a grenade. I guess it's more of an orb that sort of will seek onto like nearby enemies and hit them for some damage as well. And that's the character that has triple jump. And I really liked that character. And then there was another one that is like an old Asian lady who had basically a submachine gun from World War II that has like it's sort of like a side loading weapon. And her weapon was actually pretty good, but it was difficult to use longer range. And she has this sort of, it's not a grenade, but it's like a sphere of damage that she'll like send out that is sort of short range in front of herself, but it can do a lot of damage, and it's fun to hit multiple people with it. And then she'll also put down like a little wall that you can walk through if you're on on her team, but the other team has to like jump over it or shoot it to destroy it. And it's sort of a way to sort of zone off different choke points.
Interesting. It's like maze wall kind of.
Yeah, a little bit. And so that was a character I enjoyed playing. And then there was another one that was like a robot. It almost looked a little similar to like Gamora, maybe, from Guardians of the Galaxy. But she was a robot that has like what seems like a silenced burst fire pistol type of situation. And when she dodged, she would go invis. And so you could sort of escape danger that way, or like try to hide from people. And I forget what her other abilities. Oh yeah, she threw out a little orb that could like was sort of like proximity zone detection. So you could kind of like highlight where enemies were if you threw it in a certain spot and they ran past it. And then I don't remember what her other ability was, but they had like stuff like that. And there were a couple of tank characters that I didn't play because they seemed I didn't quite understand the playstyle of them. But
yeah, I was interested in that big it was like a big yellow robot.
Yeah, so that one has like, it's weird. It's like a vacuum gun basically. And I suspect that the ability, I didn't play this character, so I only watched other people play them while I was playing, but it seems like when you turn the suction on from the vacuum, it sucks in enemy fire maybe, and sort of in that way tanks the damage that would be incoming. But then you also have sort of a short range when you're instead of sucking in, you're sort of expelling from the vacuum. That like, I guess, is the way you do damage with that character. But it's sort of big and lumbering. And there was another character that had sort of a Reinhardt shield almost. I don't remember which character this was, but it was annoying to play against because they just put up the shield and you couldn't really do a lot of damage to enemies. But
yeah. So
there is a little bit of that team play element, but it definitely felt more Call of Duty than I was expecting it to. Because, yeah, like you said, when you say hero shooter, you expect them to be like team play and objective-based modes. And strangely enough, the objective-based modes that will be in the game, like that rotation playlist was not available in this beta for some reason. So yeah, that was strange to me, but it seems like a decent variety of characters that all sort of seemed kind of fun to play. The kill times were fairly long.
I I like that.
So yeah, I wasn't opposed to it, but yes, it felt maybe a hair too long in some cases. But yeah, if you're playing as a team and you're not just running around, running and gunning by yourself, getting into 1v1 situations, that's probably fine. But yeah, ask me anything else.
Is it 4v4 or 5v5?
It's 5v5.
Interesting.
I also, I'm not sure about the unlock system, because it seems like they had challenges that you could complete and it would give you experience to help you level up, and you had like an account level up, but you also had character level ups. And I was unlocking some stuff, not as much as I thought I would be, but the stuff I was unlocking was often just like for a character. It wasn't like the one I was using. So yeah, which I guess
the Apex problem.
Yeah, I guess that's how it works in Apex and Overwatch, where you just like you get stuff for random characters and it might not be a character you use, which is I guess a common problem with hero shooters. But I wonder how this will be received long term, because I feel like it doesn't have the hype level of what was that co-op shooter that came out earlier this year? Helldivers. I don't think this is the next Helldivers, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But I thought it was fun to play. It's just I don't know if it's gonna have the hype or the staying power that some of these other shooters have. It's weird to me that it feels more Call of Duty than it does Overwatch, and maybe it should have felt more Overwatch than Call of Duty, but that's just me.
Speaking of staying power, this is my final question about this game is, did it leave you wanting more? Are you at all anticipating jumping back in at some point?
Yeah, I can see myself playing more of it, especially like there's an open beta again next weekend. Maybe I'll check it out again next weekend and see if maybe they've unlocked some of the other modes to try out. But this is coming out in what, September? Is that right? No, August. It's coming out August 23rd. And it is exclusive to PC on console. Or PS5 and PC. So
PS5.
Yeah. But I feel like it's going to have some stiff competition later this year.
Yeah.
Because you'll have a new Call of Duty that's going to be on Game Pass in October. So I feel like this will be one of those games that comes out, and if it does have that like brief moment in the spotlight, it will be short-lived, is my suspicion for this game. Because I feel like by the time September, October hits, there's going to be other stuff to play. And I like I said, I didn't see a lot of hype around it this weekend as the beta was happening. So I wonder if like the open beta will be a little bit more revealing as to like whether people will jump in or not. I did see on Twitter, and who knows if this is true or not, but they were seeing a spike in like pre-order sales after this weekend's beta. So maybe it's doing better than I thought it would. But it is just like I said, it kind of feels like off-brand Overwatch, or but instead of it feeling like Overwatch when you play it, it feels like a cross between Call of Duty and Destiny. So
what a weird mix.
It is a weird mix, I have to say. Also, like the interesting thing that is supposed to be interesting about it is like the week-to-week story stuff, and I have zero interest in that whatsoever. I have to say, like if it were a TV show, I wouldn't watch it. The characters themselves like are only interesting in terms of like what their abilities bring to the table from a gameplay perspective. They're not interesting from I want to watch like cutscenes about these characters and what they're doing. I feel like it's going to have like a fairly high cringe level when it comes to their writing and performances, but So yeah, I don't know if this is going to have the effect that they think it will, but I guess we'll see.
We shall see in the second half of the year, which is what we're talking about, Zach. It's we've reached the summer solstice and we're past the halfway mark of the year, so we're looking ahead this episode to what will be. And just going down this list, is there anything right away you want to talk about in July or August that you're looking forward to?
Not a lot in July and August, but I kind of want to check out that Shim game. Which is,
remind me what that is?
Which is the one where you sort of jump from shadow to shadow. It's a little bit top down. That game seems like it could be a fun little game to me. So that one is like on my short list of things to keep an eye on. And then we were talking about it before we started recording, but Pepper Grinder seems like a good game that I would like to get to at some point, but that is supposedly getting a PlayStation and Xbox release in August. It's already out on Switch and PC. And then SteamWorld Heist 2, now that I've played the first game, that's coming out on August 8th. So I will probably play that. What about you? What are you looking for these next 2 months?
Nothing really in July. Are you at all interested in that Flintlock, The Siege of Dawn, where it's that girl that has that fox?
No, not at all.
I might watch someone play that. Somebody I watched stream was talking about how he's interested in that for some reason. So I don't think I'm going to buy it, but I might watch someone play that. But I might buy that Star Wars Outlaws, which is coming out in August, if that gets good reviews. Because so a couple of weeks ago, they were doing a sale. I think it was actually during fake E3. They were doing a sale on Xbox where you could get GTA 5 for like the premium edition for like $15. I was like, man, I haven't played GTA 5 since it was on 360. I'll buy this and check it out. And I bought it and I played it for a little bit and something was just not clicking, but I still wanted to play an open world game where I was like doing stuff. I think the shooting is just like not what I want in Rockstar games of past.
Yeah.
Especially because, and I don't know, maybe this is my fault, I turned on like the help me shoot options in GTA. It has like a ton of features now that it's been out for like 10 years or whatever. But I could check out this Star Wars Outlaws maybe. I'm interested. I want to watch some more reviews of it when it comes out. But if it is as open world as they say it's going to be, maybe it is going to scratch that itch for me.
I'm not gonna lie, their mishandling of Star Wars is like a little bit of a protest. I will never play this game. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, if I do get it, I'll let you know how it is.
Okay. I am a little bit interested in that Black Myth Wukong game.
Oh yeah, that's finally coming out.
Finally coming out in August, and so I'll keep an eye on that. It may be more Souls-like than I want it to be, but I'm very curious to find out about that game. So that's coming in August.
Moving to September, there's some more stuff that I'm interested in. I don't have a PS5, but that Astro Bot is coming out, and I assume that's going to be amazing.
I will definitely play that when it comes out.
The 1.0 of Satisfactory is coming out on September 10th, and so I might try to dive back into Satisfactory. It's been probably over a year, maybe 2 years since I've played Satisfactory. They've added a ton of stuff. So they've just like constantly been adding stuff, but they're finally going to go 1.0 on PC, which probably means it'll start to come to consoles at some point. And then probably the thing I'm most excited for, oh, never mind. The thing I'm second most excited for in September is this UFO 50, which has been in the works forever. It's those like 50 games by those people. I think it's one of the people that made Spelunky. This has been in development for a long time, and I think it's going to be really, really, really cool. It's initially coming out to PC, but I assume it's going to come out to other things eventually. But the thing I'm most excited for is Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, Zach.
Yeah, I will also play that late September 26th is when that's coming to Switch.
Yeah.
So yeah, I got Astro Bot and Zelda to play in September, but
I think also UFO 50 is going to be a sleeper hit for. I bet it's going to be on some Game of the Year lists.
UFO 50. Why have I never heard of this?
My brother told me about it a long time ago. It's like I know at least one of the people that was involved in Spelunky is making it. It's a collection of 50 unique games, and it's like one of those retrospectives of a game. Like, remember when they had that Atari thing came out that was like a documentary but also playable? It's like that, but it's for a fake company that never existed. And so you can play these 50 games that are all the games they made throughout their time as being a company. So the further along you get, the more advanced the games get, but they're all totally unique, full playable games. And I think it's going to be really big when it comes out.
That strikes me as the type of thing that like the game critics are wild about, but nobody actually plays. I could be wrong, but that I feel like that was the case for that. What was that game that you were just referencing?
The Atari one?
Yeah, the Atari one. I feel like that was not a big seller, but like I remember the critics talking about it all the time when it came out. So
yeah,
I'm a little bit interested to watch that Warhammer 40K Space Marine 2. I don't know if I will play it, but I know like the first one is beloved, and so I'm curious to see what that game is actually like. What about in October?
Well, I was going to ask you, did you get into Diablo 4? I don't remember if you played it or not.
I played a little bit of it. I keep meaning to go back and play more of it. I was actually thinking about it just recently. Like I could just download it on Steam Deck and just play more of it.
Yeah.
But
that Vessel of Hatred comes out October 8th.
Yeah, I feel like I'm way too behind to get caught up and jump into that, but maybe it would still be playable. I might jump back into that and play more of it. It does seem like, I don't know, I enjoy that gameplay some, but the thing I am a little bit, I again don't know if I will play it, but I'm more interested in is that Metaphor Re Fantasio game.
Oh yeah,
because it's basically Persona, but a slightly different art style and different style of game a little bit. It's still turn-based, I think, but I'm curious to see what that game is like and how it compares to something like Persona. So that
what do you think about this
cool.
though? October 25th, Call of Duty Black Ops 6, the first Call of Duty to be available on Game Pass, is going to be releasing.
I think I'm probably going to resub to Game Pass in October.
Yeah.
Because I probably will not buy that game, but I want to try it. And the weird thing about Xbox Live and PlayStation Plus is if they charge for a multiplayer game, it's not free to play, then that means you also have to buy the subscription to online modes, which doesn't make any sense. So it wouldn't make sense for me to buy this game, but I could sub to Game Pass and play it. So I really hate the way they do that. Like, if it's free to play, you can play for free online. But if we charge you $60, $70 for this game, you also have to buy a subscription to Xbox Live. That's so stupid.
And they also updated Game Pass. We didn't talk about this in the news section, but there was a big thing about how they are increasing the prices of Game Pass now.
Oh yeah, I saw that. That's a bummer. I do wonder if we've been speculating about this for a long time, but is Game Pass too good a deal that it's not even actually as profitable for Xbox as we think? I don't know.
Yeah.
But I guess it makes sense. Netflix and all the video streaming services have been doing the same thing. They keep pumping out new content. They're like, well, we need to up our prices now. So I guess it was a matter of time before that started hitting Game Pass. But
do you have any interest in November 7th is when Mario and Luigi Brothership is coming out?
Yes, I probably will also pick this game up. It is sort of a Super Mario RPG successor.
Yeah.
But, a different series. I haven't played the previous Mario and Luigi games, but I'm into this as an idea, and I want to try it and see what it's like. Plus, it's a new Mario game, so
true.
Might as well check it out.
Might as well check it out.
So you think you'll also pick it up?
I think so. Yeah, I think it looks good. I don't love the art style of it, I have to say. Something about it is not clicking with me. But I think it will be fun. And I'm excited to look at reviews of it, because if the reviews are positive, then I'll definitely pick it up. It seems like it's going to be great.
Oh, one other thing in October that I don't think is on this list for some reason, Ys 10 Nordics is coming out in late October, which is like, I think that game came out in Japan last year, and it's only just now getting a Western release in late October. So I might check that out, because I don't think I've finished an Ys game, but I've liked all the ones I've played. The gameplay is fun. I like the music. The art style is usually a little, like, it looks kind of past gen a little bit, but the gameplay is always fun enough that I'm like, I enjoy it when I play them. So I may pick that up as well.
Now, this list ends in November. There's not really anything for December, but we do have a number of games that are to be announced that could be released. Looking through this list, is there anything? Obviously, Silksong is something I always talk about. I don't know that it's going to be this year, unfortunately. It may be 2025, but maybe definitively it will be 2025. Who knows? I
a little bit suspect everything that's in this still to be announced for release date probably will not make it this year, and it'll probably be next year. But if it does come out this year, I would play that Avowed game and that that Crypt Custodian game.
Yeah, that looks cool.
I think that was on my most anticipated for this year list. But
did they say the Plucky Squire? That doesn't have any sort of release date, does it? Or did they say late 2024?
I don't know if they ever did like a release window for that or not. Maybe they did, and I'm misremembering. But yeah,
something that has kind of really dropped off the face of the planet is that Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2 that got all those delays. I don't know when we're going to see that again, but I am interested in that. I played the first one a ton when I was in high school.
This Mandragora game that looks kind of like a Metroidvania. The developers for that keep releasing these little snippets on like Instagram and Twitter, and I'm very interested in playing it because it looks cool, but I a little bit wonder if that's not going to come out this year. Yeah. Metal Slug Tactics is another one that's on my list, but yeah, I wonder
check that out.
I wonder if that will also be delayed to next year. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff on this to be announced list that I feel like is not coming out this year. Oh, they have Game Informer. You need to update your list because I found where Ys 10 Nordics is, and it's on the to be announced list, but it actually does have a release date. So, is Vampire Survivors not on PS5 yet?
That's crazy.
I'm just looking at their list, and they have Vampire Survivors in the TBA list.
Maybe they had some sort of exclusivity deal.
Well, it's on Xbox and Switch already.
Oh, that's true.
Interesting. Well, I want to hear more about your time with Luigi's Mansion 2.
I'm loving it, although I will say I am missing the third one because I watched a review of this before I got it, and one of the criticisms they had was, you know, this was on 3DS, so it's not really, it was never meant to be played for long periods of time. It was meant to, like, you're on your commute, or maybe you're like waiting somewhere, you whip out your 3DS and play it for maybe 5 minutes at a time. And because of that, there's not really any checkpoints, which is a little bit of a bummer, especially when you get to the longer levels. You'll play a mission for like 15 minutes, and at the very end, there is a part that's like slightly more difficult, or there's like something you need to solve while ghosts are trying to attack you. And if you die, that's it, basically. You have to do the whole level over again because it's these bite-sized segments where they didn't feel the need. Because it's on a DS, you can just like close it. So you're basically able to pause indefinitely whenever you want. But
you can do that with the Switch.
You can do that with Switch too. But yeah, for that reason, it's a little bit of a bummer. We've had to replay a couple missions 2 or 3 times where, like, at the very end, there's a slightly difficult part. and then we have to go all the way back to the beginning of the thing, run through the first like 5 rooms, and then get back to the place we were at, and then complete it, which is a little bit of a bummer. And I feel like they could have done something to alleviate that, but whatever. That's my really only complaint with Luigi's Mansion 2 so far is there's no checkpoints for the longer levels. Other than that, we're loving it. Very great game, very quaint. Luigi is always humming along to the music, which is very cool. Puzzles are interesting to solve. Yeah, I wish it was the third one again, because I think the third one is just like higher quality in every way, but it's still great, and I'm loving it.
Makes you excited about the possibility of eventually a Luigi's Mansion 4.
Yes, I hope they are working on that, but I guess we'll have to. I mean, that'll probably be on Switch too.
I did wonder if playing Luigi's Mansion 2 would just make me want to play Luigi's Mansion 3 again, but
it will, yeah.
But yeah, I will eventually play this game. I picked it up. It's sitting there waiting for me to play it, but I have not started it yet.
It is fun. It also, I mean, a little bit. They just refined everything in Luigi's Mansion 3, and in Luigi's Mansion 2, the controls are still a little weird because it is like those tank controls where you're going around, but they haven't super. I feel like they solved it with 3, where it feels great to move them around in 3 and also be using the what do they call it? The spook vacuum or whatever it's called. The I don't remember what it's called. But in the 2D one, in the 3DS one, the Luigi's Mansion 2, there are buttons for like looking up and down, which I feel like aren't necessary when you have a second analog stick. And so that just adds to the confusion. Whereas since Luigi's Mansion 3 was only on Switch, it was a lot easier to navigate around. What is that called? Hold on, I'm going to look up what his vacuum is called because it's driving me crazy.
Yeah, I feel like that was a problem with the first Luigi's Mansion because I played...
The Poltergust.
The Poltergust. Very clever. Yeah, I a year or two ago, I finally started playing the first Luigi's Mansion on 3DS. And I had a similar problem where I was like, this game is fun and I'm enjoying it. I like the like sort of quirky, not super spooky, but sort of spooky atmosphere of it.
Yeah.
And it is a little bit in keeping with like where they went with Luigi's Mansion 3, but it's like the controls are just sort of awkward at times where you can't quite line up where where your poltergust is, you know, trying to vacuum and where the ghosts are. Like sometimes, because sometimes they're higher up and sometimes they're lower down and sometimes they're to the left or right. And you can't quite perfectly figure out where you're at within the space to always do it the way you would think you're doing it. They really did solve all of that. None of that was a frustration in the third one, but the first one, I think a little bit of that is like, I don't know that I've ever played it on GameCube. So maybe it's better when you play it on GameCube, but that first one I found, as much as I liked it, I was also kind of felt like I was battling the controls because I just don't like the 3DS controls very much.
Yeah.
So hopefully it will not be as big an issue for the second one once I start it, but I also a little bit feel like it's going to feel like a 3DS game that they've just ported instead of...
It's playable. I mean, it's definitely playable. It's just there are those little frustrations, and you do have to like be watchful with the longer levels. Like the longer a level goes on, the more I'm like, man, I really hope this ends in an easy way because I don't want to have to replay this entire thing. And I don't think it would have been that hard to just like throw a couple like telephones or typewriters where you could just like talk to it and then save your progress, but they did not want to do that for some reason.
Yeah, and I think one of the things I think is cool about the second one is that the co-op mode that they have. That do they still call it Scare Scraper? I know that was what they called it in the third one. What it's called. But
yeah,
maybe they just go back to the Scare Scraper. I don't know, but because you're not in a skyscraper for this one, so I don't know. But I think that's like a fun, cool thing to have packaged in with this. Maybe it feels better to play in that because they can just like bring back the third one, the controls for the third one, but I don't know. So we also need to talk a little bit about Empire of Silence.
Our first book review.
Our first book review. I did finish it, and I know you're still working on it. Where are you at?
I think I'm in the 700s or 800s. I think it's like 1,200 pages long. I am up to the point.
Are you reading the ebook?
Yeah, I'm reading the ebook.
Okay, I was gonna say because my copy is like 500 some pages.
Yeah, my I have a little e-reader, a Kobo, that I have, and so yeah, it's smaller than a regular book page. So I imagine it's shorter. But I think he's about to do his duel with that mutated guy.
Oh, Gilliam, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know how far. I believe I'm close to the end, but I think there's still some stuff to go.
Yeah, I think you still have a decent ways to go. A lot of stuff happens after that, but yeah, I liked it a lot, and I picked up the second book even before I had finished the first one because I was sure I was gonna enjoy it and read it, and fortunately that has been the case. I did enjoy the first one enough to roll right into the second one, and I have only just started it, so I'm like a chapter into the second book, but maybe eventually this will get like a TV or movie adaptation at some point.
It would be interesting. I think it would be a lot of the first book. I think would be easy to film because I feel like you could do a lot of it just him being homeless in a city.
I almost think if they did that, they would almost skip over that part, or like it would be really truncated.
What do you think they would spend the most time on? The gladiator stuff?
Most likely, yeah, gladiator stuff and the stuff that pops up after that. Oh. It depends on whether they did like a TV show or a movie, because with a movie, you don't have a lot of time to work with, so it would be I feel like to waste a lot of your precious runtime on him just being homeless in the streets would maybe not be the wisest, but yeah. But yeah, I feel like the gladiator stuff and what happens after that would be more entertaining, not just visually, but also from just like a pure entertainment standpoint, if they did an adaptation. But yeah, I'm curious to see where the story goes from here.
Yeah, he really has been pumping them out because there's like there's 5 right now, and a 6th one is coming out this year. Is that right?
I think the 6th one came out already this year. I thought that we were still waiting on the 6th book, but I think it is already out. So,
and is that the final one, or is there going to be one more?
I don't know, actually. I haven't looked into how many more books are planned or if this is it, but yeah, a lot of reading to do at this point. But I'll be excited to hear what you think of the rest of the book as you keep going. But I don't want to spoil anything for you.
Yeah, we'll have to do. I was expecting to have it finished by when we recorded, but I had some other stuff going on this week, so I probably will have it finished by next week, and we can do sort of a retrospective on the first book. But overall, the part that I've read, maybe do you think I'm like halfway through or a little over halfway?
I would say you're maybe a little over halfway, but you still. I'm
loving the parts that I've read so far.
Yeah. I think you still have a fair ways to go, but you might be a faster reader than me. But I will read maybe a chapter or two a day or something like that. I don't make as much time for reading as I should, admittedly, but
I do the opposite. I think I will not read for a couple of days, and then I'll sit down and read like 5 or 10 chapters, and then I'll just like stop reading for like a week.
Yeah, I do it the other way around, where I will read maybe a chapter or two a day for a little while, and then I'll like take like a month break and then come back to it again. I also I was reading Murakami's Novelist as a Vocation at the same time. So I was like, the little bit of time I devote to reading, I was like splitting between the two books there for a while, but I did finish that book, which if you're a fan of Haruki Murakami is worth checking out. It's basically just him talking about how I think it's a collection of essays he wrote at one point where he talks about how he became a novelist and like what, working as a novelist is like, and how he became like known internationally and all of that. But that was an interesting little read. But now I'm ready to sort of keep rolling with this Sun Eater series.
Yeah, it's really gotten me into the reading mood, and I've been looking up other things to read. Have you heard of Red Rising?
No.
That is, I guess, that one keeps coming up when I search for books like Empire of Silence. And so I don't know anything about it, but I might start to read that concurrently, or read it after I read the Sun Eater. But
yeah, I similarly, I've been like, as I've been reading this book, I've gotten really into reading, and I've been looking up other like sci-fi and fantasy books to read. But I'm a little bit like, I have all this series to read, and I need to like maybe not add more stuff to the pile before I, make more progress in this. But
I will say, if I haven't talked about it before, I have a Kobo. I think I have a Kobo Libra 2. I looked around because I wanted a little e-reader for, I think I have talked about this, because I've been reading that Dungeon Meshi on it. It's great for reading manga. But a little Kobo. I was going to get a Kindle, but they really lock you into the ecosystem of a Kindle. And I think it's harder to put like your own PDFs on there, because I had a bunch of stuff from a long time ago that I wanted to throw on there from when I had a Nook way back in the day, of the Barnes & Noble version that I don't even know if they make Nooks anymore.
I think they do. I maybe had like a first gen Nook at one point. So this was like forever ago, and it was like
a great little book thing, but it doesn't, I don't think I could even plug it into my computer now.
Yeah, I was going to say, how do you get books on the Kobo? If you like buy an Amazon, like a Kindle ebook, is that like easy to get onto a Kobo?
Well, you can link it up to multiple different storefronts, so you don't have to be tied into Amazon's. You can use Barnes & Noble's, that technically still exists. They do have an online store, or Kobo has its own, which is sometimes cheaper. Or you can just load your own stuff on there, or you can also link it up with libraries. So like, if you have like the library apps, they'll just like automatically download to your Kobo completely for free. So you just have to check with your local library. I think there's like a thing called Hoopla that you have to like wait for things to be available or whatever. But there's a ton of different ways you can do it with a Kobo that you can't do with Kindle. So I recommend them if you're looking. And also, there's a new one that just came out that I don't know anything about, but apparently there's a new e-reader maker called Books, Boox, that make like phone-sized ones that are like the size of a phone, but they are like e-ink, and they're only used for reading books, which are interesting to me. But those are like super expensive, I think. Kobos are pretty cheap. I think some of them are cheaper than Kindles, if you can. Although Kindles get super cheap during Prime Day, which is right around the corner. So it just kind of depends on what you want to do.
I was going to say, I have a Kindle Paperwhite that's like several years old at this point, because it doesn't have USB-C. It has like the old plug or whatever. And it's nice. I have used that from time to time, but I am intrigued by the idea of having access to multiple storefronts as opposed to just, Amazon's thing. But
I will say, reading, I love to own books, and I have a lot of books, and I'll probably buy these books once I finish them, but just to have. It is nice to read on an e-reader, because especially with something like this, the guy, his prose are very flowery at times, like very, he uses words I've never heard of before, which I like. But with an e-reader, I can just kind of hold down on that word, and I'll get a translation, or not a translation, but like a little
definition.
Dictionary type of thing, which is great. And I can usually use context clues to figure out what he means, but it's a great feature.
And with the Kindle one, I do like that you can highlight stuff as well to come back to. And it's cool that like you can see other like community highlights as well. So if he like has like a little section that's like kind of interesting or meaningful in some way, you'll often see a lot of other people have like highlighted that.
That's cool. That's a cool feature.
Yeah, and it ties into Goodreads as well, because Goodreads, I think, is owned by Amazon, so you can have it.
Oh,
you can have it like set to automatically update your progress, and you can rate the book automatically on Goodreads once you finish it from your Kindle.
Man.
So they do have some nice integration there, and like with this book, and I think even the last book I read that was super long, which was Murakami's Killing Commendador, or however you say that. In both cases, I was like traveling and didn't want to take the book with me, so I bought the Kindle ebook. So I had both, and most of the time I would just read the physical book as I was going. But like if I was traveling, just so I didn't have to like put that giant book in a backpack with me, I would read the Kindle version. But yeah, they have some nice features. It is nice to have an e-reader, and like he said, like usually the prices are quite a bit cheaper than buying an actual book.
Yeah, especially hardcover.
Yeah, but I don't know. Sometimes it is just nice to have like the actual copy of the book, because it's much easier to like say, okay, I'm gonna start reading this chapter. How long is it? Let me flip a few pages and find out how long it is, and then you'll see, okay, it's only a few pages. I can definitely get through this before I need to like go to bed or whatever. Whereas if you have an e-reader, you kind of don't have that option, or at least it's not made as easy. So
well, the Kobo actually, when you start a new chapter, it'll say like this is like you're on one of like 5 pages, so you know you'll have like 5 pages to get through until the next chapter.
Oh, that's
which
nice.
is a nice feature.
Yeah,
but I don't know if that's the case with all ebooks or not.
I know like the Kindle has some sort of like location setting to try to tell you where. It's never clear to me like what it's telling me though. So, but yeah, I recommend reading books for sure.
That's my parting wisdom this week is I'll be one of those posters like you used to see on the walls of your school's library. Read a book.
Yeah.
Did you guys have Rabdargab up here?
No, I don't know what that is.
It's an acronym. Read a book, do a report, get a buck. It was something we had in elementary school where I grew up, where you would write a little report on a book you read, and they would give you a crisp $1 bill.
Man, that would have been
Rabdargab.
Nice. Yeah, we had all those little they weren't like shops, but like people would come out to the school and be like, hey, it's a special like book sale thing.
Yeah,
come get some books. And I always get
a scholastic book fair.
Yeah, that's what it was. They had those little like things you could flip through, those little like brochures that just had a bunch of different books, and also like random other stuff, and like PC games and stuff like that you could get. Nostalgia for the 90s. On that note, since you've already given your parting wisdom to read more books, go ahead and follow us on YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter at Starside Cafe, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.